Like most people, I'd always think, I'm not good enough, or I don't have what it takes. At the end of the day, you could have like 100 people that believe in you, but if you don't believe in yourself, nothing's going to happen. Well, one of my mentors did say to me, they said, Chandee, like if you have that passion and you have that energy and you're willing to drive people, then you'll be surprised who will follow you. And at the time I was just thinking, crazy, like that's not me. 2 years ago, I never thought that I'd be running a networking group with all these, successful business owners that are all older than me as well. Yeah. But it just shows that, like, when you're willing to get out of your comfort zone and try something new, like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't even see failure as a thing anymore. It's nothing to me now. The only time you fail is when you don't start or when you give up. A lot of people say, it's risky, it's not secure, but I think if you don't risk anything, you're technically risking everything.
Hopefully it won't ruin your hairdo.
Nah. Oh wow, okay, yeah. It sounds so weird.
And then do I need just bring that a little bit closer. I've got a bottle of water for you.
Oh, thank you.
Just to ease you up. I've just put like a little nip of vodka in there for you.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I'm joking.
I had coffee before I came here because I was like, I was so tired this morning, and when you're tired and you just waffle on, I thought that's not going to be good. So
I actually, I didn't have a great sleep last night either.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah. Well, Chandee Thorburn.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is really exciting.
Yeah. And welcome to the Success Minded podcast.
Thank you.
So to everyone out there, Chandee Thorburn runs the East Perth Networking event every month. She's a exercise professional. She's a sports nutritionist, a personal trainer. She was the Max Exercise Professional of the Year in 2020. And she's also a guest speaker and one of the most driven and passionate people I've ever come across.
Thank you.
So I'm hoping to absorb some of that and take it away from this podcast so I can, go and be a better version of me, and hopefully you guys can take out the same.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to say.
So, Chandee, where did this passion and drive come from?
Okay, so previously I've only been in my job, I don't call it a job, but I've been in this job for a year now, and before that I was an air hostess for 8 years, and I loved that job. So when you're in a job that you love, you're not interested in going back to a normal job, So when COVID hit, I couldn't be an air hostess anymore. So I either had to sit around and wait to see if the world would go back to normal, or I could just move on to something else. And I decided to move on, but it was scary. Like, it wasn't easy, and it was a tough decision to make. It wasn't like an overnight decision. Like, I was thinking about it for months and months. I just knew that whatever I do, I have to put 100% into it, because, if you're going to do something, you might as well be like really good at it, right?
Yeah.
The passion was always there, but I think the drive was something that I only got within the last year, well, I'd say 18 months, because before, I'd probably, like most people, I'd always think, I'm not good enough, or I don't have what it takes. And what really helped was having the right people around me, so a good circle of influence, people who believed that I could do it, but also spending time working on myself, because at the end of the day, you could have like 100 people that believe in you, but if you don't believe in yourself, nothing's going to happen. So you've got to believe in yourself. So I knew that was going to be an issue. So I spent a lot of time working on my mindset and just making sure that I believed that I could do it.
So you would say that like COVID was good for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I try to make the most out of every situation. So I try not to take it in a negative way. And even though I miss travel and adventure, I think COVID did me a favor, because it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And if it wasn't for COVID, I'd probably still be doing chicken or beef right now. So, and I would be happy there, but I would be very comfortable and I wouldn't be growing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in a way it did me a favour.
So from the research that I carried out, I probably would challenge what you've said there, because I would imagine you're probably still quite driven through that time, because I think you received an award or some awards whilst you're with Emirates.
When I was with Emirates, I'm not too sure. I did like really well in all my exams there and stuff. But yeah, no, I think that was it. I don't think I never got any like customer service awards or anything. I feel like I was the only one who didn't. I mean, I swear I was good at my job, but I never got any awards there. But I did really well on all the exams. Like every year we have to do these really intense safety and emergency exams, and I was just getting 100% every year, and you get like a certificate for that. So that was cool, I guess. But yeah, other than that, no, I don't think I got anything while I was there.
Righto. Maybe I need to reassess my research. So with the network of people that you were talking about,
Yeah.
were they family, friends, like people already in business?
Okay, so I started off with my mentors. So I've got incredible mentors, and they were the ones who really believed in me from the beginning, and they heavily influenced the way that I run my business as well, and they really changed my mindset on everything. Because I remember when I left air hostessing and I moved into personal training, I remember saying to one of my friends, oh, I don't think I'm going to make as much in personal training as I would in air hostessing. Like I'm just not going to make as much money as before. And I just had like this very limiting mindset. But my mentors showed me that anything is possible, and you can put as much into it as you want. So they really opened my eyes up to the possibilities. And then the second, I guess, type of people that helped me was when I moved to Perth. So I lived in Dubai for 8 years before, and I'm originally from New Zealand. So I've never lived in Perth before. I've been here for a year. And I moved here because of my partner, who's from Perth. So my partner supported me, and we hadn't seen each other in 9 months. So
Wow.
I just moved in, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to start a business. And yeah, he just let me do whatever I want, basically. But when I did move to Perth, I had one friend who I've known since childhood from New Zealand, and he lives here as well. And a few years ago, he had moved here. He'd started up his own business, and he'd been in the same shoes as me. So he really supported me a lot, and he really helped me, especially when I was feeling like, I'm not doing very well at the moment. He was like, no, it's fine. Like, I was in the same situation as you, like, you can do it. And yeah, so yeah, those were like the first people. And after that, well, when I came to Perth, I started meeting other business owners, and I knew that I had to surround myself with other people to, grow and achieve what I wanted to.
So when you were like leading up to making the decision to go into personal training,
Yeah.
were you, because you said you were feeling down sort of in the lead up to that point, is that right?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to do, because the world was at such an uncertain time, and yeah, I wouldn't say I was feeling down. I guess I was just very comfortable with where I was, but I kind of knew deep down inside that I had to make some kind of, decision.
And do you remember the moment that, that sparked in your head to go into personal training?
Well, what happened was I started studying personal training during lockdown, and when I first started studying, I actually had no intention of making it into a career. I just wanted to keep myself busy. And because I had such good mentors, they showed me the possibilities of what you can do with personal training, and that sort of got me thinking. I thought, okay, I think I'd really enjoy this career, because I always thought that all personal trainers just had to go work in a gym, and I just couldn't see myself doing that. But they said you can have your own business, you can work for yourself, you can make 6 figures a year. So yeah, and then after that I kind of realized, okay, there's all these opportunities and possibilities out there. It's just up to me to decide whether or not I want to do it. But when I did come to that decision, I remember I took like a few days to myself where I didn't talk to anyone for like, I think it was 3 days, and I just relaxed and I didn't do anything for 3 days because I just wanted to think and have a good hard think about what I wanted to do. And I knew that if I did go into personal training, I couldn't just, half-ass it. I had to go in 100%. So I did have a good long think about it. And yeah.
So would you say that the having your network and mentors has probably been absolutely instrumental in getting to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like cringing to think where I'd be if it weren't for them. Yeah.
And what sort of advice are they giving you as a startup business?
I get all kinds of advice, and like I'll get advice from my mentors, I'll get advice from people in my networking group, and sometimes you don't agree with the advice that you always hear, or it doesn't quite make sense to you, and that's fine. Like I've learned that you've just got to listen to everything, take the best, leave the rest, kind of thing. But yeah, like I've noticed that people really, they believe in me more than I believe in myself, and they're really, encouraging me to take more steps and do bigger things and not just settle for this or settle for that. And yeah, I've gotten so much advice, and I feel lucky because I feel like there's always help whenever I want it. So yeah.
It does surprise me that you think that way, because the impact that you have on the people around you, you command a certain amount of energy.
Oh, okay.
So in a nice way.
Yeah.
So is that the feedback that the mentors are giving you?
I remember when I started my networking group, I was a bit not so sure what I wanted to do with it, and I guess I never saw myself sort of as someone to like influence or lead people. But I remember one of my mentors did say to me, they said, Chandee, like if you have that passion and you have that energy and you're willing to drive people, then you'll be surprised who will follow you. And at the time I was just thinking, you crazy? Like that's not me. But yeah, I just went for it, and now like I feel very confident in it, and yeah, people always say really amazing things, and yeah, it's all just happened so fast. I never really stopped to think about it. I never 2 years ago, I never thought that I'd be running a networking group with all these, successful business owners that are all older than me as well. Yeah. But it just shows that like when you're willing to get out of your comfort zone and try something new, like you don't know what's going to happen. Like there's so many opportunities.
I did have a train of thought there. I was just let it go on. What was I going to say? It's completely gone. I can't believe I lost it. So, when you were with Emirates, did you pick up, I guess, certain skills or pick up systems from Emirates that you've incorporated into your business?
I love that question. It's funny because everyone thinks that air hostessing is just, tea and coffee, chicken or beef. But when I was there, I did a lot of solo traveling. So obviously you travel with the job, but I also really got into my solo travel. So I would travel to countries like Egypt, India, places that females would just never go by themselves unless they're crazy. And I think that really helped build my confidence. And at Emirates, every trip you go on, you've got to work with a different set of crew every day. Well, not every day, but on every trip. So it'll be like 26 new crew, and everyone's from a different country. So you've got to deal with a new team on every trip, different nationalities. So it is really challenging, but you just become very open-minded and you just learn to connect with all kinds of people. So I would say that is a really big thing that I took away from it. And also being able to adapt as well, because you're never in the same place, you're always all over. So yeah, just being able to adapt to your environment. yeah, like I took so much away from it. Someone did ask me recently, they said, did you learn anything at all from that job? And I was just like, okay, why don't you go do it for 6 months and see how much it's going to change your life and your perspective on everything. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm grateful for it.
And I won't spend too much time on this, but I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. There's a lot of talk about, the airline workers have a fairly good, party life.
It's what you decide to do with it. So I definitely had my party days. Like I'd be in a hotel and I would wake up with a hangover and I wouldn't remember what country I'm in. Like I definitely had like my party time. But then towards the end of it, in my later years, I started to, I guess, calm down more, and I got more into my fitness and health. And yeah, instead of staying up late and partying, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to wake up early and exercise. But yeah, I mean, wherever you go all over the world, like we would always get discounts on like bars and stuff because we're crew, and yeah, like you definitely can have a big party life there. But there's just so many types of people there. Like you get people that are mums, you get people that keep to themselves, and you get the big party animals, and yeah, you can do whatever you want. That's why I loved that job, because you can make what you want out of it. But yeah, if you want to have a big party life there, it's good.
So, going back to business.
Yeah.
What do you have in store for your business in the next coming years? Would it be like 2, 5, 10 years?
2, 5, 10 years. Okay, so this year I really want to push like my online stuff more. So last year I was basically focusing on face-to-face training, and the most amount of training sessions that I'm wanting to do a week is 20, because I'm not interested in working full-time. So now I'm looking at doing more stuff online, and I actually just launched something a few days ago. It's a new online program, and basically there's a lot of online coaches out there where they will tell you what to do, but mine is all about educating people and giving them all the tools so that they can decide for themselves what to do. Because ultimately that's what you want for people, right? You don't want to just tell them, eat this, eat that, or do this exercise or do that exercise. So yeah, it's all about that, and it's all about mindset as well, because someone can tell you to do a fitness program, but if your mindset isn't in the right place and it's not your priority, that person isn't going to do it. So it's a lot about mindset, and also a lot about body image for women, because there's just so much stuff on social media, like unrealistic stuff, and people will say things to me like, oh, I want to lose 2 kilos. And I'm like, when you're dying on your deathbed, are you really going to be thinking, oh, I wish I was 2 kilos lighter? So just really helping women in that sense as well, and being very realistic about things, because there's lots of unrealistic stuff on social media. So that's something that I really want to do this year. Another thing is that this year I've gotten into presenting and speaking at like corporate companies, so I call it like a corporate wellness workshop. So next month I've got one for LJ Hooker, and this year I've done 3 so far this year. So that's something I want to do as well, because that's a way to educate and help people instead of just posting a video on YouTube of me doing some silly workout. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing this year.
Cool. So you're sort of looking at like trying to, instead of just giving the man the fish, teach him how to fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
As for the next like 2 to 5 years, ultimately I'd like to have my own studio, like personal training studio. Whether that's at home or actually have a space, I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking maybe at home, because I like the idea of working at home. But yeah, in 10 years, I mean, I don't know, I could dream for days. Like I just, I always come up with these new ideas, and ideas I never even thought I'd come up with. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm excited to see like what happens.
And on that, would you say that you were child-like minded in the sense that you're a bit of a dreamer? but not in like, obviously the term dreamer gets
Yeah.
like thrown around for people that
Yeah.
are not proactive, but having that mindset and, you know, taking action.
Yeah, I would say I don't like to call them dreams. I like to call them goals, because if it's a dream, you just dream about it. But where it's a goal, you will actually come up with a way to achieve it. So, yeah, I would say I'm a goal setter.
So, on that, how do you go about setting goals?
What I'll do is I'll really have to spend time visioning what I want it to look like. Because if I don't know what I want it to look like, then I don't know how I'm going to get there. So usually when I'm thinking about what I want it to look like, I do it when I'm running. So I don't run with any music. That's just my time to clear my head and just let the whole world slip away. And during that time, I will focus on my goals and what I want to achieve. So whether it be I want to get a business networking group together, or I want to get 20 clients, or I want a new car, or whatever it is, I will focus on that goal, and then I'll think about the small steps I need to take to get there. So what am I going to do every month? What am I going to do every week? What am I going to do every day to get there? Because people might say, the classic example, they say, this year I'm going to lose weight, but they won't actually put a strategy in place of what they're going to do. So that's something that I've learned from other people as well. And writing them down every day, that makes a huge difference.
So you'll write your goals down every day?
Yeah, most days I will. Like I'll write them down and what I'm going to do to achieve it. Because you do it at the start of the day, and for the rest of the day you're going to be thinking about it, and you're going to be thinking, what can I do today? You're going to be looking for opportunities to make it happen. Whereas if you just forget about it, maybe an opportunity will come to you, but you won't even notice it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So at the start of every morning, you'll go to like a journal or a book of some sort, and then you'll write down the goals for the day, and then work towards them. So when you're looking at like a large goal, that might take 6 to 12 months, maybe a little bit longer. Do you write down that and then like throw different ideas at like different like steps to get to that goal, and then once you've collated all that information, you then organize it, and then so you like work backwards and then go forwards?
Yeah, usually what I'll do is at the top of the page I'll write like the big goal, and then underneath I'll just put 1 or 2 things that I'm going to do that day to achieve it. So let's say it's something like, okay, I want to have this many clients by the end of the year. Today I'm going to follow up on 3 leads today, or stuff like that.
Cool. I've not heard that before, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. It makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, I might take that on board.
Yeah. Yeah, I was never that kind of person before, but that was something my mentors told me to do, and I did the same thing when I was working on my mindset. So before I actually started my business, when I was working myself up to have the courage to do it, I spent about 3 months just journaling, saying, I think my goal was, I want to have my own successful, profitable business doing this, this, and this. It was very specific, and then I would write down what I needed to do to achieve that. And that really helped, because every morning I was just drilling it into my mind.
And going back to the mentors, how did you go about finding them? Because I know a lot of people out there like struggle to know how to, how do they find someone who's of worth, learning from? Yeah.
And it's so interesting now because there's just so many out there, and even now I get messages from some, and, I don't know them, and I don't know who I would trust, but I was very, very fortunate. So I studied at Max International Fitness College, and we got mentors for school, which is really beautiful because we get them for the rest of our life, and they're excellent. So you get one-on-one mentoring, and it's very personal, and they're just always there for you. Like my mentor will still call me now. She always remembers the date of my networking group, and she'll call me like the day before, she'll wish me luck, and then she'll call me afterwards, and she's always giving me advice. And yeah, so I'm very lucky that that's how I got mine. I didn't have to go looking for one, or I didn't have to have other people approaching me trying to convince me to go with them. And I do understand that, if you hire a business coach and you pay for it, you will take it more seriously because you're paying and you'll listen to everything they say. But what I really like about mine as well is that they're there for me for the rest of my life. So they genuinely care about me. I've already paid them, so I don't need to pay them anymore, if that makes sense. So yeah. I appreciate both sides, like both options. But yeah, you just got to find someone that you feel that really gets you. And I mean, that person is going to be a big part of your journey. So you want it to be the right person, someone who understands you, someone who's done what you want to do. And my mentors, they obviously specialize in the fitness profession. So, one of my mentors was the first ever personal trainer in Australia. Wow. And they both were nominated for Australian of the Year. So they're incredible. So I'm very, very fortunate.
Sound like good people to have in your pocket. Yeah. I guess for me, for anyone who was thinking of, if they're not doing any training or courses, I was able to sign up with AMWA, so I did a work course.
Yeah.
And then AMWA do a mentoring program.
Yeah.
And you sign up for it, and then you'll give a brief description of what you're looking for in a mentor and where you're looking to be in your life, career.
Yeah.
And then, they will match you up with I think it was 3 or 5 people.
Oh, awesome.
And then you can choose from one of those people.
Oh, that's really cool. So they actually ask you what you want, what you're looking for. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. I had, the first podcast was my mentor.
Yeah.
And it was he's an incredible person. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
So you said you were born in New Zealand.
Yes.
How long were you there for?
I stayed in New Zealand until I was 22. So I'm 32 now. So
wow.
I left 10 years ago, and then I went to Dubai, and then I left Dubai just about halfway through 2020. So in the middle of COVID.
And so whereabouts did you grow up in New Zealand?
In Auckland.
That's the
North Island.
North Island. Yep. On the south side of North Island?
It's
in the middle.
In the north, yeah. My geography is terrible for someone who's travelled a lot.
And your family, are they, quite like-minded to yourself?
My dad has his own business, so he did say to me recently, don't undercharge, and you've got to charge your worth and all of that. Although he did say to me about probably 9 months ago when I wasn't making a lot of money, he asked me how much money I'd made that week, and it wasn't a lot. And he said to me, oh, you'll be better off getting a job that pays you $50K a year. And I was like, yeah, you know what, that's cool, Dad, whatever. Let's give it another year, and then we'll see where we're at. And now he's back paddling a bit. But and my mum and my sister, they're very supportive. They're super supportive of it, and they're happy with, as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing.
So your father had the business while you were growing up?
No, so he actually got made redundant. I can't remember how old I was. Maybe I was in high school, and he'd been in the same job since he was 16. So when he got made redundant, he kind of wasn't really sure what to do, and then he thought, well, he likes being outdoors, so he decided to start a lawn mowing business, and he's been doing that ever since. And I think he makes more money doing that than he did in his old job, working less hours, and now he's retired, but he still does a little bit of work just to keep him busy and moving around, out of trouble.
And do you think that you learned from your father, or possibly your mother as well, with work ethic?
Work ethic, yeah. And I would say a lot of that came from Emirates as well, because we had such strict standards, and every day when you come to work, you've got to have good grooming, and they would actually look us over and make us turn around and show. Yeah, so it was intense, and really strict procedures, following all the standards and being consistent as well. So I bring that a lot into my business now. So I think that really helps.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So I guess I was like, bounce back to a question I asked a while ago. You sort of touched on it there with like in regards to the systems from Emirates.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say if you want to, you know, do well in life, go and join McDonald's for like 12, 24 months, learn their systems, and then take that into, you know, your next step in life, I guess, like next part of your career.
Yeah.
What things specifically from Emirates do you think you've taken?
I would say, this might sound like a weird one, but I would say grooming is a big one, because a lot of personal trainers that I see, they just wear like, you know, shorts and singlets and all kinds of things, and people have said to me, oh, you know, but they're training people, they don't need to dress nice, you know, it's exercise. But in my opinion, this is just my opinion, at the end of the day, if someone's paying you to look after your body, like, you want to look professional, right? So my uniform is quite smart, and I spent a lot of time thinking about how I want my uniform to look. And I do have days where I think, oh man, it would be so much easier if I just didn't have a uniform and I could just, you know, roll out of bed and just chuck anything on. But when I think about how valuable that is and how important that is to me, then yeah, it's worth it. So that's something I've definitely taken. Another thing would be, all the systems and consistency. So just being consistent in everything. We had a lot of checklists at Emirates. So I have a checklist that I go through during a training session in my mind. The client won't have any idea about it, but yeah, just making sure that I tick off everything and everything's done, because you always want the service to be good every time. I mean, you've been somewhere and then, like, you know, you go back the second time or third time and it's not as good the first time because you've missed out something. So yeah, I would say the consistency and having a checklist to follow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you started with personal training, correct?
Yes.
And then you went into nutrition?
Yes.
So have you always been passionate about food?
I love eating, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what was the driver for, you know, going into nutrition? Because there's not a lot of personal trainers that are doing that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of personal trainers that aren't qualified in nutrition, but they're still giving advice out of their scope, which is very interesting. But I believe that exercise and nutrition go hand in hand. They go together. Like, you could be exercising 7 days a week, but if your nutrition is not aligned with that, then even if you don't want to lose weight, then your performance won't be as good. You won't be able to exercise as good. So yeah, I think they go together, and I love to exercise, but I also love to eat. And there's so much fear around food. Like, you know how people always say things like carbs are bad, and, you know, so I find that people, they fear food because they don't understand it. So I wanted to learn about food so that I understand it, and then I can educate my clients so that they become confident in their food choices instead of fearful. And when someone does come to them and say, oh, you know, you shouldn't eat that, that's bad, then they can confidently say, well, actually, it's not. Because there's no bad food. Everything's good in the right amount. Yeah. So that's my philosophy around food. But yeah, I love food. I've always been a big foodie. I'm not one of those trainers that eats chicken and broccoli from a Tupperware container every day.
And what would be a typical, you know, obviously you got like a lot of variety going on.
Yeah.
However, what would be a typical meal, like, you know, breakfast, lunch and dinner for you?
Oh gosh. Okay. So at the moment I'm having breakfast will be eggs on toast with smoked salmon and spinach.
And is that just like normal toast or?
I like rye bread, just because I like the texture of it. Yeah, so I'll usually go for something like a bread that's high in fiber and protein, just to keep me fuller for longer. Yeah, and then salmon, love smoked salmon, love eggs, and then I chuck some spinach on there just to get my veggies in. I never used to eat a lot of vegetables, and now I try to make my meals as colourful as possible. And then lunch will usually be probably some kind of like burrito bowl, so like pulled pork with like corn and capsicum, rice. I'm loving chipotle sauce at the moment.
Yeah,
I put
love
on,
that, yeah.
it's so good. So like pulled pork or chicken, burrito bowls, super colourful. And then dinner, it'll be, it changes every night, but we'll have like maybe salmon, steak, sausages sometimes. Every now and then I'll be like, you know what, let's have fries and burgers tonight. So yeah, I usually follow the 80-20 rule, 80%, performance food, and then 20% foods to keep you sane. So dinner will usually be like some kind of protein, and then carbohydrates, sweet potato, rice, whatever we want to have, potatoes, and then vegetables, of course.
And have you ever tried like because obviously there's fads every year.
Oh man, yeah.
And I'm a huge one for fads. I do like a good fad.
Yeah.
So one for me was doing the intermittent fasting and like sort of, not long-term fasting, but sort of like I did like up to 4.5 days.
Yeah.
But in the lead up to that, it was intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And so have you researched that?
Okay, so with like any diet, and I've tried a few myself in the past, I always just say to people, look, like we all have different preferences. And I say there's 3 things that you've just got to look for. If it's science-based, if it's sustainable, and if it's satisfying, the 3 S's. So the science, does it actually achieve what you want it to achieve? Like what are you trying to get out of this diet? And is it sustainable? Can you keep it up? Or are you struggling because you've cut out carbs, or you're not eating for 16 hours, or whatever it is? And are you actually enjoying it? Because the reason why most diets fail is because they're really hard to sustain and they're not enjoyable. So I try to keep a very open mind about food. Nutrition is such a controversial topic, and even like I know other nutritionists and we're always like disagreeing on stuff, and that's fine. So I just try to be very open-minded about it.
I know like for some reason I just love doing things like, to the extreme. So it'll start off as like something fun.
Yeah, do you like the challenge?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And so I ended up like doing would have worked out to be, I did 5 hours eating window.
Yeah.
So it's like 9, 10 and 5.
Wow.
And I felt incredible.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And my skin was incredible. It was the best it's ever been.
Wow.
Like, I was like super trim.
Yeah.
However, I couldn't get enough calories in. I was losing too much weight.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like one of my clients this morning, he said that he fasts every day, and he said that he doesn't do it intentionally, but he just doesn't feel hungry during the day, and then at dinner time that's when he feels like he wants to eat something. And I'm like, that's cool if that works for you. Me personally, I wake up and a few hours later I'm like, right, where's the food? Like so you just got to find what works for you. Like we're all different, and just say as long as it's science-based, sustainable, satisfying, and safe, of course. I guess I add a number 4 S on there.
And obviously you do your 4 S's.
Yeah.
So is that something that you're, it's quite common for you find you doing is, you'll, I guess, go like the 5 C's or the 2 B's?
Yeah, I like to organize like my thoughts and ideas. So and I love analogies as well. I'm a big one for analogies. So
I hate analogies.
Okay, I won't bring up today then. So when I talk to clients, or when I have a conversation with someone and they're asking me for my opinion on something, I usually, when it comes to exercise and nutrition, I don't really like to give my opinion. I'd rather give that person tools so that they can decide for themselves what's right. So people will say, what do you think about fasting, or what do you think about the keto diet? And I'll say, look, like, here's the tools for yourself. You decide for yourself if it's right for you, and go from there.
Yeah, I was nearly talked into the keto diet because I saw this guy who was like, he must have been about 45 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I looked like that, I think at the time I was 37, 38, I was like, if I look like that now,
Yeah.
I'd be stoked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super fit
Yeah.
looking dude. Yeah.
I've done it before. I had a trainer a few years ago who wasn't qualified in nutrition, and yeah, he told me to do a keto diet, and I just listened and followed it without really questioning it because I didn't know any better. And I loved eating lots of bacon and lots of cheese and avocados, but yeah, it's just not sustainable because, you know, especially I did it when I was traveling. So when you're traveling, it can be quite hard to, you know, be quite strict with your food.
Yeah, true, yeah.
And now that I do eat carbs, like, I feel amazing. Like, I'm just like, wow, I don't know how I lived without carbs before. But yeah, I've definitely tried things myself in the past. But, you know, everyone has a different experience, so.
Have you ever looked into the Eat Right for Your blood type?
No, I haven't. And someone actually mentioned that to me the other day. But no, I haven't looked into it. But if someone was having like certain issues of food, like they were really experiencing a lot of, you know, discomfort or getting an upset stomach or whatever it is, then that's something that maybe they could look into. It's not something that's within my scope. I think that's probably more something that a dietitian would deal with.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's lots of stuff that I can't do. But yeah, no, I haven't looked into it myself yet.
So if you had like a budding entrepreneur who's maybe, you know, in between jobs or they're not feeling, I guess, passionate about what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
What's one thing that they could do to, you know, maybe take a step forward to, you know, let's say they've got a passion about like fitness like yourself.
Yeah.
And they're in a job that they're not really enjoying. What would you advise them to do if they were curious about it?
Right. Love that question. I could talk about that kind of stuff for ages. I would say surround yourself with people who support you and your passion. So, you know, we all have people in our lives that will not support our dreams and our goals, and that's fine. You don't have to cut them out of your life, but you just got to learn to filter them out. But find the people that do support it, the people who will influence you. You know the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So get people around you that are smarter than you, people that will push you out of your comfort zone, and get a coach. Like, having a coach makes all the difference. Having an expert, someone who's been there, who's done it all, someone who's in your corner, that's a big one. Circle of influence, and definitely invest time working on your mindset, because that, at the end of the day, that is everything. Like, if your mindset's not in the right place, you're not going anywhere. And I think the biggest thing that I've, you know, developed in the last couple of years is the change in mindset. Like, now my mindset around failure has changed so much. Like, I don't even see failure as a thing anymore. It's nothing to me now. The only time you fail is when you don't start or when you give up. And yeah, things like, a lot of people say, oh, you know, it's risky, it's not secure, but I think if you don't risk anything, you're technically risking everything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, mindset, circle of influence, and get a coach. Those three things.
And on the mindset, where would someone start?
Where would someone start? I would say talk to someone else who has a good mindset, because if you surround yourself with people who have a negative mindset or a very limiting mindset, and they say things to you like, oh, you know, personal training is not sustainable, or, you know, it's really tough having your own business, are you sure you have what it takes, or whatever awful things people say, then you're going to believe that, and you're probably going to absorb it. So find people that have a good mindset and will influence you in a positive way. And there's there's so many podcasts and things you can listen to, but we all learn in different ways. So, you know, it might be that you listen to a podcast, maybe you find people, but I mean, there are coaches out there that work on mindset specifically as well. So yeah, find something that works for you, but you have to be willing to do the work on it.
So is there a podcast that you'd recommend for someone to listen to, or maybe a book to read?
You know, it's funny because I wish I read more, because I love learning, but I'm just not a good reader. I'll pick up a book and I find it really hard to stay focused on the book. Podcasts at the moment, I can't recommend any, apart from this one. But yeah, I mean, also with that, if you are listening to podcasts, you could spend a lot of time, like I've gone through before and tried to find ones that I would like listen to, and 10 minutes in I'd be like, oh no, this one's not for me. So yeah, I'd say mindset, probably focus more on finding the people in your life, because they're going to be real people that you talk to, and instead of listening to something, they're going to give you advice in real time. So yeah, I guess that would be more better.
So I guess one idea that's just popped in my head is like, if you're looking to get into personal training, maybe actually go out and hire a personal trainer, and because generally speaking, they are very positively they have a positive mindset. So maybe hire a personal trainer for yourself, and it's probably a lot cheaper than getting a mindset coach, to be honest.
Well, it's interesting because I had a personal trainer once who was very negative, and this was in Dubai, and he would come to the session and he would complain about how the gym wasn't paying him very well, and he'd say, oh, I want to do another course, or I want to work on my education, but I just don't have money, and just always being really negative. So, and like in any career, you're going to meet negative people and positive people. So there are a lot of course, really positive, like good-minded personal trainers out there, but there's also a lot of negative ones. I know a few, and we're in the same job, and they're always complaining. Like someone told me the other day that his clients were draining him, and I thought, dude, like you need to find the right clients for you. And he was complaining that he didn't have time to train himself, and so it depends on the person at the end of the day. You could be in like the best career in the world and have the most money, but if you're not a positive person, then
I must admit, like I feel like personal trainers have changed a lot over the last, I'll say, nearly 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, I think in the past they were nearly maybe a little bit more military style, like that sort of get you really G'd up.
Oh wow! I wouldn't know because
for me personally, I know like my experiences were that it was a lot more full on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And now it's like, from what I see, there's a lot more chin wagging going on.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people with like very, sculptured jaws from talking a lot, but not so many big quads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there's so many now. Like I don't want to say it's a saturated market, because I think there's no such thing as a saturated market. Like if you want to stand out, you will. But I mean, I don't know what it was like years ago. I mean, I only started exercising like I think 6 or 7 years ago. So before that, I had no interest in fitness whatsoever.
So you're not a big reader.
No.
Have you read, I guess, any self-development books at all, or attempted to?
I've read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm trying to think what else. I would have tried to attempt to read other books, but just not. I've managed to finish that one.
And did you like put as many as possible, in place by using those skills?
Yeah, like I love learning. So, whatever I learn from reading or from another person or wherever it is, I always try to take on board what I've learned. Sometimes you'll read stuff that doesn't quite make sense to you, and that's fine. But if I like something, then absolutely. And sometimes you just think, okay, I don't actually do that. Maybe I'll give that a go, and it just changes things.
And would you recommend that book to, someone who wants to improve, I guess, their communication skills?
Yeah, absolutely. I think communication is the most important skill in the world. And it's so funny because it's considered a soft skill, which is ridiculous because it's so important. Like in any role, any job that you're in, any career, any business, I feel that personal training, like 90% of it is communication and 10% is the training. So yeah, I think if I could learn any skill, like if I could learn from the best expert in the world, if I had to pick one skill, it would be communication.
Yeah, I'm on board with that one. So how does everyone find you?
How does everyone find me? Oh, you mean like my business?
So,
or like as a person?
as like, as a business. So like,
Okay.
do they go to, LinkedIn, Facebook?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. When I set up my business, I was like, right, I need to make myself easy to find. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, website, yeah, everywhere, Chandee Thorburn, you'll find me. If you just go to my website, then all of my other social links are all there. So, yeah.
So that's chandeethorburn.com?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Chandee, thank you very much. You've been an absolute pleasure to talk to.
No, thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Yeah, no, I've picked up a lot of good information from yourself. I'm sure everyone else has too. Would you like to add anything else? Any last thoughts?
I would just say if anyone is watching this and they're in that position where they're in a job that is just there to pay the bills and they're thinking about doing something else and following their passion, I say go for it. And people are scared of failure. They're scared of getting out of their comfort zone. They're scared of taking a risk. But once you do it, you're not going to look back. And I'm not going to say it's an easy journey, because it definitely isn't. I've definitely had my days where I was questioning my decisions and I thought, oh my gosh, have I been doing the right thing here? And yeah, I'd have days where I think, oh my gosh, I probably should have just gone back to flying, or, but my circle of influence, the people around me, that really pushed me to keep going. And now I am so glad. So yeah, I would say just be brave and do it, because it's not going to be easy. It is going to be a challenging journey, and you will probably experience failure, but it doesn't mean that you are a failure. So yeah, and something else I also learned recently is that if you want to be successful, you've technically got to double your failure rate, because all successful people have failed a lot. So yeah, I'd say go for it. We all deserve to be happy. And if you're passionate about something, then you obviously have something to give back to the world. And at the end of the day, it's not about you, it's about the people you can help.
Also, if you are in East Perth and you do have a business, make sure you reach out to Chandee. Highly recommend it. As you can tell from the interview, you're going to get a lot out of it. And not only that, you're going to be able to meet other businesses within the area, and everyone works out, to help out each other. So it's a really good scene.
It's a lot of fun. It's a very non-intimidating group. None of this throwing around business cards and stuff. It's very cool.
Chandee, I'm really looking forward to seeing where you go over the next 5 to 10 years. I think you are one person who's seriously going places.
Thank you, Kane.
And yeah, thank you very much.
No,
it was
thank
a pleasure
you for
to have
having
you.
me. This has been awesome.
Cheers. Thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.